Jane, this is Charles.
Hi, Charles. Welcome.
Hello.
Do you live in this area, sir?
Oh, absolutely, and work here as well.
Okay.
I wanted to make sure that is understood that I hate taxes. There is no good tax to me, but I do understand some need. And 40% of black women in this country never marry, never. You add to that the number that are divorced or widowed, and you're looking at 74% of the African American women in any community single, trying to raise their families. Not having adequate transportation for those segments is a huge disadvantage and favorable toward paying you more of my money.
Fair enough, sir. So you're saying East Winter Garden is terribly underserved. There are other communities like that that are terribly underserved with bus service and other modes of transportation. Is that fair? We're writing that down.
That is absolutely correct.
Thank you, sir.
Do you work in radio, sir? That is the best voice I've ever heard.
Modeling.
Well,
There's
we will write
computer
that
modeling.
down, and we
Yeah.
have people here that you can talk to offline
There-
about
I can
that.
hold this if you like. Okay, well, hold it a little bit further away. Thank you. There are computer modeling companies out there that can actually simulate a traffic flow.
Are you a District 1 resident?
Hi, and my solution is instead of invoking a sales tax that would affect all of the people, why not instead increase dramatically the impact tax that the developer has to pay each time they put in one of these apartment complexes, individual neighborhoods. You first come in before you can get a driver's license, before you can sign a lease, before you can do anything in the community, you are impacting the roadways, the hospitals, the schools, everything in the area. You should have to pay an initiation tax. Just like in many communities, many subdivisions that are just starting out, there's an initial contribution tax. That should meant is possibly increasing hotel taxes. You're talking about getting additional years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jane, this is Ricardo.
Welcome, Ricardo. Are you a District 1 resident?
Yes, I live in Windermere.
Live in Windermere. And
Yes.
what are your solutions, sir?
Well, I understand it's a very complex issue. You know, some folks don't want people to move here, so we do need people to move into our community to help bring more tax base and revenues to our community. That's one thing. One of the previous situations because the roadway wasn't built, the infrastructure wasn't there, and all these folks were moving in with anticipation that they will have a quality of life that the rest of us had, but they found they couldn't. You know, their schools weren't there. You know, I personally fought for 4 years against Windermere High School because we
Jane, this is Ron.
Hi, Ron. Welcome. Do you live
Sure.
out? Do you live out in this beautiful part of the county?
Well, I live in beautiful Williamsburg in District 1.
Certainly.
And I chair the discussion group that's been going on for 14 years. And if I wanted to return home safely tonight, I better ask the following. When, in God's name, are we getting a traffic light on Orangewood Boulevard? Because we've only been waiting, 30 years. And I believe I was 40 when this all began. So that is question one, that we are desperate for that light. A point of information today on point two. My wife today was on Sunrail, and she got it at Sand Lake Road, went up to Winter Park, and returned. Loved the ride. You know, we do it every once in a while. We loved watching cars, I hate to say it, standing still, and her flying by, and she loved that. The challenge, however, was it was longer to go east and west on Sand Lake Road to get back to Williamsburg than it was to take the train to downtown Winter Park and back. And so unlikely that she's going to do that again anytime soon because of the auto traffic on Sand Lake. And third is a solution, I think, and this is a freebie. In many cities, the public transit situation in real time is mentioned on the news. And for example, they could say on radio or TV, Sunrail is on time, in addition to what roads are blocked or not. Or if there is a disturbance of some sort.
Roundabout going on, it moves the traffic. I just went through it today, and I was really amazed to see how much it has improved.
Thank you.
But those are one of the points I got. Also, some more speed bumps in some communities. People cut through. Some of the communities in my area, I live off Turkey Lake and Vineland, so I see a lot of that. The traffic backs up because they cut through Turkey Lake quite a bit to avoid Kirkman Road. So timing of the lights there needs to be improved. I think they just changed the light on Service Road in Turkey Lake. Another thing that somebody also added here was to add, you have to keep the commitments of the county with the developers, but the impact fees could be increased a couple of zeros if they want it done within a time frame. So if they want it done now, how about a couple extra zeros to your impact fee, or 3? That way you can reach your goal, may or may all this traffic.
Thank you, Al. Thank you very much.
Rise early in the morning, evening. So I think something should be done and looked at in that avenue. Also, I want to speak on Highway 50 in Avalon. The streetlights need centralizing there, because when you go straight to Avalon, when you go straight from Avalon, you have a direct path to go across, and you have a green light also turning at the same time. So you have passengers that are going straight, trying to stop to let the people to turn. So I think that needs to be synchronized.
That's an intersection, so that we can write that down under the intersections. Avalon, and is there a
Highway 50. Avalon,
thank
Highway
you. I'm
50.
sorry. Avalon and Highway 50. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Jane, this is Frank.
Frank, welcome. I believe you might be our last person to comment tonight from District 1.
Then I'll be brief.
Oh, well, you've got 2 minutes.
Dr. Cooper, could you please raise your hand? That for 1 year, we would have 3 stops in Orlando going west to east, so I can get from Winter Garden to UCF on a train. That sounds wonderful. But, it doesn't need to be permanent. I think that with places like Horizons West, yes, help create those systems. I believe that you'll find a much more industrious economy in those areas. And last thing, collaboration on the city and county borders. There's always a very large issue with collaboration when it comes to those specific areas. And when you're sharing with those cities, I'd like to know that I'd like not to know when I'm in the city and when I'm in the county. That's
Thank
all.
you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Well, it was great. We got a lot of great comments. And if you were too shy to come up and talk to Jeff, please go to the back of the room after this and get your comments on those boards, because we will be taking all this information, formulating a plan, and coming back to you. So I'd like to call up Mayor Demings now so he can close out the program. Thank you.
Okay. Let me just say thank you to all of you for being patient tonight. Hopefully you feel like you're better informed having participated in this program tonight. Hopefully you feel that we listened to you. We will come back and we will perfect a plan of action based upon the input that you have received tonight. What I have said to all of the people in the various presentations that we have given, this will become a political process at some point, because whenever you ask someone to vote for something, it's political. So as the county government, we cannot advocate. We cannot ask you to vote for this. I can as an elected official, but our staff cannot be involved in that. So what we will do is we will run a political campaign that will begin to communicate to the electorate about what it is that we're putting on the ballot, what you can expect that if this tax passes, what it will pay for. You heard a lot tonight. We are here trying to find solutions to the challenges. Okay. Hopefully this is not just an exercise in futility for us as we go forward. For 38 years, I was a law enforcement officer in this community. There were times during that 38-year career where I had to make some life or death decisions. Sometimes I asked people to trust me that what I was doing on their behalf was in the best interest of this overall community. Now, as the Orange County mayor, having been the mayor now for a little over a year, I can only about taking care of the issues in this community that need to be taken care of. I want, again, every one of you to see yourselves in the storyline. When we had failure in the past, when we tried to look for a dedicated funding source, we had failure because the electorate, the people who we were asking to vote for, could not see themselves in the solution. They could not see how it would benefit them. I'm just trusting that before we ask you to vote for this in November of next year, you will see yourself benefiting in some way. Made up her mind. So she'll be one of those people who will vote no for it. But my job and our job is to try to convince you that this is the right thing to do. So we're going to continue along that pathway. And so let me say thank you to all of you for taking time out of your busy schedules tonight. Merry Christmas to all of you. Thank you very much.